Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishwaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Savavedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om. Now we begin verse 20, chapter 2, at the top of the page 1243. We have the verse there, the verse 20, which says one should know that to be samadhi, so a state in which the mind is absorbed. Now we understood the definition. The main definition of samadhi is a state in which the mind is absorbed around a certain thing, a certain thought, a certain object of meditation. So that absorption is samadhi, and here the verse says that one should know that absorption is the samadhi. The mind is restrained by the practice of discipline, discipline of the thoughts, discipline of the sense organs, the instruments of action as well. So by yoga, by practice of meditation, the mind is restrained until no effort is needed. The mind is effortlessly contemplating on the nature, nirguna nature of Brahman as one's very own nature. There is something bothering me here. Okay. Okay, I got it. So, okie dokie. Getting back to it here. One should know that to be samadhi, the mind is restrained and requires the practice of meditation. And the mind needs to be quiet enough. And then in a quiet mind, one perceives the Atman. And this quiet mind is referred to as a refined mind, as purified mind, and so on. And the pure, refined mind rejoices with the feeling of limitless nature by just holding and staying with that sense of identity as limitless consciousness. One rejoices with an experience of ananda. So this is a description of the process of meditation, Vedantic meditation, which leads to Vedantic samadhi. So what is relevant here is that in this verse, he says that by the practice of meditation, which quiets the mind. So the mind needs to be quiet, but in the previous verse, he was just illustrating and highlighting the fact that we don't want a silent mind. We want a quiet mind, which is different. Hi, Philip. We want a quiet mind, which is different from no mind or silent mind or no thought. No, you want to go into the nididhyasana, but the mind needs to be quiet, means to say, has to be restrained from the worldly thoughts, the objects that come with the thoughts that tends to quite kind of attack us when we sit to go into meditation, because they are there in the causal body. So you can close all the sense instruments, but yet you cannot close the connection between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. That passage is open. So there is no way. The only way is to establish vasanas or thoughts based on spiritual wisdom, So that those are the ones that come spontaneously and effortlessly during your meditation. You understand? You cannot close the connection. If you close, you go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which serves to zero. Does not serve to anything. Right, Mark? Did you give up on Nirvikalpa Samadhi as a means to liberate?
As a means for liberation, yeah. Yeah, I have given up on it, really. It's very difficult and takes so long, and in the end, it's not going to liberate me anyway, so what's the point?
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Really, I sometimes remain and say, but I would like to experience it. Now, I heard about that for so long, so I would like to get there to visit that, you know. So know that it's very seductive and dangerous kind of experience because it's better than sex and good food put together, as I used to say. The Atma, pure mind, rejoice. So this is the verse 20. We start looking into this. Therefore, what is the first definition of samadhi? Samadhi. Di means mind. Sama means equanimity or tranquility. So it means, he says that means tranquility here. Sometimes sama means equanimity. So that state in which the mind is tranquil. This is one derivation of the samadhi. There is another derivation, and I will tell that now. But I will tell that. Remember this derivation in this context. Okay, in this context right now, the meaning of samadhi is a tranquil, calm, pacified mind. And how is the mind tranquilized? It's not by taking drugs. We don't believe in the pharmaceutical industry. And by this special exercise, what is the exercise? The mind, by effort of discipline, must withdraw from the entire anatma prapancha, withdraw from the world of thoughts in regards to the objects of this world, withdraw from our relationships, which is more of things of this world, withdraw from the roles that we play, which is more objects belong to this material world. So we need to pull the mind from all those thoughts which are somehow connect to the world. Okay. And then somebody, he just says that somebody tells him, yes, Swamiji, it sounds good, but when I sit to meditation, all those thoughts come up and they trouble me. Therefore, every role has to be set aside. You see, Swami does not say again and again on a personal, specific level how to avoid that. You know, I mean, the way to avoid that is it's a road that involves Kama Yoga, observance of Dharma, and certain skills gained by meditation or discipline of the mind and the sense organs. So the role we know, the role is the purpose of Kama Dharma Upasana of Vedanta, which is prepare the mind for the Nididhyasana, Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. So if the mind is calm, it means there are some obstacles. Which are the obstacles? The mind is stuck with impurities. How am I going to clean up all these impurities? I'm going to do that by becoming a calm yogi to begin with. Oh, no, but I'm done with it. But if you're done with Kama Yoga and your mind is yet not purified, it means Kama Yoga is not done with you. So you need to go back and accept and embrace Kama Yoga. Therefore, every role and everything has to be withdrawn. We have to leave it behind. Here he says, how are you going to do that? How are you going to manage to come to a point that you control the mind, withdrawing the mind from the worldly thoughts? By practice of meditation, Ashtanga Yoga method. Ashtanga yoga is specially designed for this purpose. It needs Kama yoga to be really effective. Even though Ashtanga yoga involves some elements of Kama yoga, which is a life conducted in a certain way, observing certain things, and so on. But by Kama yoga, by observance of Dharma, and then with the help of Vipassana, you're going to develop a more pure mind. Okay, so you're going to manage to control withdrawing the mind from these worldly thoughts, the concerns, the worries, the sense of insecurity. So you have to learn all of that. It's this karma yoga, dharma yoga, as James sometimes put, but it's not a real yoga. It's just one aspect of karma yoga. So karma yoga, dharma yoga, and vipassana yoga are designed for this. Oh, but I can't meditate, and then leave meditation alone for the moment. So focus on karma yoga. You understand? If you can't meditate, it means you need more Kama yoga. The tragedy in the West for all of us is that we were not introduced to Kama yoga because it involves an environment, a context in which you are a religious person, who has devotion to God, and then you learn to understand better this God, to understand it in a more mature way. And then you develop great gratitude for the Lord, and then your mind becomes to tranquilizing itself because you are just understanding that you have no control over the results. Your parabada is going to be perfectly designed to you. It serves a certain purpose. There is no way to complain. Ishvara never makes a mistake. It is a meritocratic system. Which has no room for mistake, okay? So understanding all of that, the mind relaxed. Tranquil mind is a mind that is no longer concerned about tomorrow, as Swami expanded in some previous verse. The worries about tomorrow is gone. Why? I have no control. I have control right now. The moment that I'm living my life, I have a certain power to influence my thoughts and actions, and then that is going to be fed into the Ishvara system, and then my parabada is going to come as it comes, and it was specially designed for me. Therefore the mind gets purified, okay? But it needs effort. Kama yoga, understanding of what is the Dharma, the principles that keeps this apparent order in harmony, structure of laws and principles that holds this, so that we can transact with a certain base. That there are physical laws that keeps certain physical laws in place. If certain physical laws would be withdrawn by Ishvara, and then we say, now we have not even the laws anymore. So I was home, and then when I see, I was just hitting the ceiling because Ishvara withdraw gravity from its laws. So now, and then we would have no base from where we could live, interact. We need this structure, this set of principles, of laws that allows this stage on which we transact. Those set of laws, they are there, they are building into the system. We need to understand them, not scientifically, meaning to say to understand the physical laws or chemical laws or whatever, but understand the ethical, dharmic, moral, psychological laws, because those have a direct influence in the state of the mind of the Jivatma. We need to understand so that we live our lives without having a disturbed mind most all the time. So we need to understand the Lord. We need to understand Kama Yoga, this relationship And then we need to train ourselves to live from that standpoint of knowledge. Which knowledge? Ishvara knowledge, karma yoga, and the Lord and its laws, which comes down to causality, cause and effect, karma, the law of karma. And then we have karma yoga in place, and then we can do the upasana yoga, because karma yoga prepares for upasana yoga. And then the Ashtanga yoga, Ashtaranga, this 5 stages is called Ataranga. I never had much interest because, as you see, I just comprised it within the understanding of karma, dharma, upasana. And it's more direct, it's more simple, and makes total sense. But if you want to break it down into these 5 or 8 or 9 or angas, you can do that, but be careful, because after all, this system somehow tends to keep people bound to it, believing that the final destination is a different kind of samadhi. These 5 stages are called this and that, and this tranquility born of our purified mind, a mental restrained mind, is the first definition. The first definition is what? A tranquility of mind is samadhi. It's in Sanskrit, it's said to be chitta uparamanam. Abundance, tranquility. Okay, and then here he brings that note. Silence the mind is not the aim of Vedanta. If you are going for a silent mind, you will get some tranquility. You're going to get some samadhi, some degree of tranquility and pacification, but it's going to be temporary. Temporary. We will not get the Vedantic tranquility. So what is the difference between yogic tranquility, temporary, and Vedantic tranquility? Can you tell me, Marco, Olino, Silva, or Felipe? Felipe, he's going to be shy to talk in Portuguese.
Vedantic tranquility should ultimately become permanent, because it affects your very nature. Well, your very nature shines forth. Your subtle body then becomes infused with the Vedantic teachings. And so you live in a place of more or less peace all the time.
And how you get that? By doing the Vedantic meditation. What is the difference between the Vedantic meditation and the yoga meditation?
Well, the yoga meditation is about silencing the mind, and the Vedantic meditation is about reinforcing the Vedantic vasanas and abiding in the Vedantic knowledge.
Okay. Anything from you, Lynn?
I agree with all that. Dwelling and having the mind in meditation, in a Vedantic meditation, is dwelling on the teachings primarily. In a calm mind, withdrawn from the senses, withdrawn from the mamakaras and all that.
Okay, so I just want to add another element in there. The yoga meditation, it's going to produce a temporary tranquility because it involves a discipline that suppress the wandering mind, suppress the wandering mind without without addressing or investigate the nature and the mechanisms that produce the disturbed mind. Okay, so you can, by practice, withdrawing and then holding that withdrawal, and then the mind is tranquil, it's pacified, it's quiet, you enjoy the silence, but you don't care to address or investigate why my mind cannot stay this way. So Vedanta is very simple. The Vedantic tranquility is due to what? You go through a process in which you use the teachings as your object of meditation, meaning to say your nididhyasana, you just dwell on the teaching, on the teaching, on the teaching, on the teaching. The teaching is going to offer what? A temporary tranquility at the beginning. You understand? I want to make this distinction. The teaching at the beginning is going to offer a temporary tranquility. And then people will say temporary tranquility. So I know I do some Vedanta seminars online or in person and so on, and my mind is very settled, and it is pacified, and I feel this ananda, this peace, tranquility, and satisfaction. But then I go back to my day-to-day experience of life, and then I begin losing that sense of Purnatva, which is inherent, but I start losing. Why you start losing? Why Vedantic meditation in the beginning is an effort to establish the mind in tranquility? Because in the beginning, you make an effort, and during your nididhyasana, the mind is tranquil, and exactly like in the yoga meditation, you suspend your effort, and then the mind again allows those bits and pieces of thoughts which are founded in the self-ignorance of the Jivatma, of the meditator, they rise again. Okay, so the Vedantic meditation brings a Vedantic tranquility, which is a different kind of tranquility. Only when this knowledge is really, really internalized to the extent that those bits and pieces of ignorance do not affect your overall peace and the tranquility, you understand? So it needs to be properly internalized, okay? So Vedanta is an effort, the nidhyasana application, remembrance. In the beginning, it's not the Samadhi. Samadhi is total absorption in the Atma, in the self, as Purna, the only reality, and so on. In the beginning, you are holding on to the concept that says that you are Brahman, that you are Purna, that you are a source of tranquility, you are a source of security, you are always ever present, and so on, the only reality. So you hold on to those concepts, those holding on, those dwelling, they produce again a temporary tranquility, but they have a potential to establish the mind in a kind of permanent tranquility once those concepts, they become facts. They are properly internalized, okay? So Vedanta is attempting to address the ignorance that brings about a problematic mind, a disturbed mind. It's not about suppressing that disturbed mind, problematic mind, or it's not like an anesthetic, let's say. An anesthetic you take, and then the pain goes, the problematic mind is painful. No, you want to go all the way to the root cause of the pain, and the root cause is what? Aham, body, mind as me. Okay, Mark? And then Swami says here that Vedanta meditation is different. You need the silent mind, okay? The silent mind can be gained by Kama Yoga, and then you can go direct to Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. And that is going to produce a silenced mind as well. We can even skip, most of us, we have trouble to skip Upasana, even Upasana, and go direct to Nididhyasana, because we got a Vasana for meditation and the nice feeling of a silent mind and so on. That's okay. So, but more important than having a silent mind, you know that you need a silent mind, a quiet mind, so that you can bring in the Vedantic teachings. So The purpose is not to have a silent mind, but a mind which was more quiet, so that you can apply the teachings. You can feed the mind with the teachings, Vedantic teachings. So in the quiet mind, we need to bring the Vedantic teachings. We bring the Vedantic teachings. So this is Nididhyasana, which is not Samadhi, but it has the potential to produce the kind of permanent resolution of the mind. Once the mind really understood that the mind is not the mind, it's not a bundle of thoughts, concept, the mind is just consciousness colored by thoughts in regards to the world, and even in regards to the nature of Brahman. Those are all colorful thoughts. You understand? The mind is that which revealing all kinds of thoughts. Consciousness is that which revealing all kinds of thoughts. You have to know the meaning of this verse to tell, or else it will be simply pranayana. So if you don't understand the Nididhyasana, at the most you're going to go to pranayana, and you're going to have a peaceful mind. I'm sorry, it's not pranayana, parayana. What is this parayana, if you guys remember right now?
I think it means a simple going over in your mind of the teaching, like airport reading, something that stays on the surface.
Surface, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, anything we read, we need to read something that requires a good work, a good intellectual work. Because we know there are some people that have a vasana for reading, for example. But unfortunately, they read things that do not require the intellect, just like simple novels. Another thing is to use the reading, in this case, the reading the scripture, studying the scripture, to really understanding the intellectual meaning of what you are reading. Otherwise, it's just a simple repetition of mantras, as an example. You need to entertain these Vedantic thoughts, understanding the profound meaning behind those words. And this is what Krishna says. One should see the Atma as revealed by the Guru and the scriptures when, during Shravana of Vedanta, one should see, is not see physically, see the Atma, one should understand clearly the Atma as revealed by the scriptures and the Guru revealing and unfold the scripture at the time of Shravana. That's when we get the knowledge. That's why I'm repeatedly emphasize that without Vedanta, without Shravana, meditation, Nididhyasana is impossible. Even Upasana is impossible if you really do not learn or get the full knowledge of Saguna Ishvara. We need to know, when we talk about Kama Yoga, people think that it's just go out there and do some charity work, or selfless work. No, Kama Yoga is much more than that. That is just a small aspect of that. But Kama Yoga is understanding the Saguna Ishvara and its laws and principle. So if you do not start the scriptures on Ishvara, which are the Kama Yoga scriptures, you cannot even do your pass. No, because I can meditate on anything. It's okay, but this is not Vedantic meditation either. One thing is to say, this is a Vedantic meditation, and this is a Upanishadic meditation. You begin in Vedanta with Kama Yoga. It's still a meditation. It's still under the umbrella of Vedanta, but you are focusing on the nature of Saguna Ishvara because you want to conform your life to the laws and principles of the Saguna creator, the Saguna Lord. But so only then you can have the mind to start the scripture, Shravana, Mana, Nididhyasana, and then you're going to be able to do the Nididhyasana, which are the final contemplations or meditations upon the nature of Nirguna Ishvara. Therefore, without Vedanta, Nididhyasana is impossible. Without Kama Yoga, Upasana is almost impossible as well, because the invitation here is if you are a religious, spiritual person, your object of meditation must be Ishvara. In this case, Saguna Ishvara. You understand, Mark? Everybody understands? Everybody on the same page here? Vedantic meditation presupposes Vedantic study, and therefore Atmanam, seeing the Atma, seeing by the eyes of the scriptures through the intellect. The intellect is the one doing this work, the mind, and he concludes this verse talking about the mind. The knowledge has to be taken in the mind, by the mind. Where does he see the Atma? Here, in the mind. One must see the Atma in the mind. How you see the Atma in the mind? You just see the vision. You are having the vision of Ishvara, or of the self, of the Atma, in the lights of the darshan, the vision of the Upanishad, Vedanta. So for that, you need to have the teachings alive in your mind during your meditation. Upasana, if it's in regards to Saguna Ishvara, or Nididhyasana, if it is in regard to Nirguna, Atma, my very nature. I have to have recollection is the period in which you are practicing to bring this knowledge alive in your mind, okay? In the mind. The mind is going to see the Atma by holding on to this Vedantic vision. Is the vision of reality through the teachings of the Upanishad, revealed teachings of the Upanishad. For that, you go recollecting the teachings, and then the teachings remain available for you, and then you more effortlessly, because you don't need to recollect the teachings for later on to dwell on the teachings, because now the recollection is already done, the teachings are alive, and then only thing is to dwell on the teachings, dwell on the nature of Atma as your very nature as well. So that's where Samadhi begins playing its course. And then he presents here an analogy about the video cassette. This is the entire transcription of these teachings was shortly before the turn of the century. So 25 years ago or something like that. So in those days, we still knew video cassettes. We would use to record things like that, not in the cell phone anymore at the time. And then he says, so you can record everything, but once you record during Shravana, you need to play it later on. Yeah? That nowadays we have so much commodities that we have the class, we listen to the class. So the unfoldment of the class was given by the guru, and then later on we could go back and watch the videos. We can recollect it. So I don't have to take notes. I don't need to, to again and again meditate to remember what I heard. You have the videotapes, but the problem is that with videotapes and everything that artificial intelligence is bringing, that it's removing the effort of the individual to retain that knowledge, because I can go back and listen anytime. It's there in the web. You understand? And then the internalization of the teaching may become a little bit more neglected, because, no, it's always there. But no, but when you really have to internalize the teaching, you have to remember it and make it alive in your mind, because tomorrow, if there is a collapse of the internet, you lose everything. It has to be in here, right? You have to show this teaching like we see the cow, the cow showing the cud, the cute cud, I don't know, and the grass. They say that cow eats all day long. It has a certain intestine that it takes a long time to process, and since it eats only grass and other things, so it's all the time showing. So we need to become a cow in that sense, meaning to say what? I'm showing the teachings again and again, remembering the teachings even through my transactions during the day. You understand, Philip? Do you understand, Philip? I think you guys are not listening. We lost Philip. Philip was frozen up. Internet problems.
I think we get it.
Thank you. Okay, and where are you going to get this teaching? In the Atmani. Atmani means in the mind. Atmanan refers to the self, and Atmani refers to the mind. Interesting, yeah? Atmanan, the Atma, and Atmani, the how you say, the impostor, the ego, the mind. And the mind needs to be educated so that stop playing the impostor. Yeah? It refers to the self. Atmani refers to the mind, and Atmanya. Do not get confused. We already got confused, Swamiji. There is a third word we don't want to know, Swamiji. Without Vedantic thoughts, there is no Vedantic meditation. Therefore, with the help of the mind, one should see the Atma in the mind. You see, everything happens in the mind or in the intellect, which is a higher aspect of the mind. Huh? So where does self-knowledge take place? In the intellect. And who is going to get this knowledge? The intellect. So, but then if it's mind, intellect, so how can you be free? So intellect understand that the intellect is just the Atma. You understand? So the intellect has to get this knowledge. The intellect is the finest instrument of the body-mind-sense complex. And it has a mistaken identity with the body-mind. It has to get the knowledge of its true nature as limitless consciousness. So the scripture there to provide this knowledge, the intellect has to dwell on these teachings, has to do all those disciplines through the stages, and then one is going to see what the scriptures are revealing. One sees it as a fact, and Atma is in the mind, in what form? And then now he brings the mind, and he breaks the mind into two aspects, okay? He breaks the mind as all thoughts in regards to worldly objects and even Vedantic object concepts. Every thought and every physical object, everything belongs to the mind. The mind is a bundle of all kinds of thoughts, from the subtle and from the dense world of experience, duality of experience. So the mind is a bundle of all those thoughts, but the mind is not the bundle of all those thoughts. The mind is self-reflective. Okay, so the mind has another principle to itself that sometimes I present as reflected consciousness, which is the Sakshi Chaitanya, meaning to say, is the witnessing consciousness appearing as the reflected consciousness, the most fundamental apparent nature of the Atma as a Jiva Atma. So the thoughts are there, but at the same time, the mind is witnessing all the thoughts, Vedantic thoughts, no Vedantic thoughts. The mind is not only a collection of everything, but there is a principle that is witnessing that. This witnessing is referred as Sakshi Chaitanya, okay? And is the witnessing consciousness. The witnessing consciousness must be defined in duality, because if I'm witnessing something, it's not the non-experienced entity which is consciousness. This is a witnessing consciousness which is in relation to all the contents occurring in the mind. There is a principle in the mind which is consciousness appearing as the witnessing consciousness, which is called antakarana atmanam, or Chaitanya Atma, or Sakshi Chaitanya, the witnessing consciousness. And what is the second definition of Samadhi? Which is a vision of this Atma Darshana. So I think now he's going to talk about the second definition, or I think we have seen second definition before. Let's see here. So, and what is the advantage of all of this? By recollecting the teachings, by Shravana, what benefit I get? If you ask, suppose you have got a clock, he brings more knowledges. We have a clock in the meditation room. Nobody likes to have a clock in the meditation room, because once your mind gets more quiet, the tick, tick, tick of the clock becomes more loud and evident. So during the day, the mind is busy. I cannot capture that ticking. But in my meditation, the ticking of the watch, the clock is going to appear big. The same thing is the ticking of thoughts regarding to this and that. They are not really perceived during the day while I'm transacting with the world, okay? But if I silence the mind, the ticking of those thoughts are going to attack me. No, they are the same. It's just that now they became more evident, okay? Because the mind is quiet, it's trying to make an effort also by stopping interacting. So when we stop interacting, at least we have minimized mental activity, let's say, okay? Because I'm not doing anything, but then I'm still dealing with what? The impressions. So when I go to meditate, this ticking of the mind becomes more prominent. But it's the same ticking, it's just because it appears to be more intensive, because the mind now is not engaging worldly thoughts in a transacting manner, okay? But during the day when I'm transacting, those ticking is overpowered by other disturbance, which is, the challenge of every day dealing with duality. Okay, in the night when you sleep, or during the day when you meditate, the ticking of the clock is more intense. Similarly, in Nididhyasana, the advantage is I have removed all the other noise from the mind. The noise generated by all the roles and concerns and worries and goals, and fears and desires and expectations and hurts, anything. So when I bring the teaching has got more impact when the mind is quiet. Therefore, the teaching becomes more and more strong. Okay, so when we don't have the mind which is too dispersed, wandering, concerned, remembering, anticipating, and so on, what happens? So we internalize, we understand, we assimilate the teachings more. Yeah? The teachings are going to have a more better, stronger effect. So this is easily to be seen. Every time I do a seminar here in Brazil, people come, and then after 3 days or 7, 8 days, so people, it's almost as if the mind was upgraded, let's say. So the mind now is stronger. There is more sense of confidence in the teachings. Mind is more tranquil, and people gets more desire for more assimilation and internalization. It motivates people. Another example, he says, the sun and Purnamani day, the full moon day. So the moon overpowers the stars in the sky. The stars are there, but that full moon somehow is so bright. It's brighter than the stars. You get the full impact of the moon in the night when there are no stars and other things in the sky. So the moon here seems to be a symbol of the teachings because it's a certain reflected light. And in the absence of distraction, meaning to say stars and not stars, the stars that we see when there is no moon or the moon is small in some way. So now the moon is there, and then all those other distractions, they are insignificant. So the moon is not brighter. The brightness of the moon remains the same, but in the evening, in the full moon, the brightness is overpowered by the daylight. But the evening, the brightness is overpowered by the daylight. And as the daylight recedes, the obstruction recedes, and then the moonlight becomes powerful and more powerful and more powerful. So the analogy here is more like in comparison with daylight and dark night of I don't understand, because there are three elements: the full moon, the dark night, and then the daylight. So there are obstacles during the daylight in an analogy because we see many other things. And then in the night, we have the moon. The moon is bright, and we don't even see stars, but we see some. I don't know. I got confused about this analogy. Anybody can help? I have to read it again.
It's a similar analogy to the alarm clock one, that you don't hear it during the day because there's so many other obstacles, other sounds. This is a similar analogy. During the daylight, you don't see the full moon, even though it's in the sky, because there's so much light.
Right.
And so it's basically talking about silencing the mind to a degree, the fact that you can shut out the other obstacles.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Thank you. Therefore, similarly, during Shravana itself, knowledge does not take place. Shravana itself, knowledge does not take place. You see, the teachings can be so confusing. How many times we heard Swamiji say, it's during Shravana that you get knowledge. Many times we heard. You remember? No, you get knowledge through Shravana, okay? But that knowledge needs to be assimilated and internalized by doing nididhyasana. But knowledge you got during Shravana. So now he's saying, apparently his contradiction, his statements say, during Shravana itself, knowledge does not really take place. Every student gets the teachings during Shravana. Everything gets the teaching. But knowledge is different from getting the teaching. He's making this distinction of nididhyasana. The student brings the teachings in a silent mind, in a withdrawn mind, and then the teaching becomes more and more powerful. Jnana becomes jnanista. This knowledge, this knowledge is which you get the knowledge, but the knowledge is not a nista knowledge, it's not a firm and clear knowledge. So you do nididhyasana to make this knowledge a jnanista, which is a firm knowledge. So jnana becomes jnanista. It is strongly registered in the mind as you contemplate on this knowledge through the nididhyasana, applying, remembering, establishing it firmly in your vision. So the second definition of samadhi here is what? Is darshana, is the vision, atma darshana. What is the first definition? Is tranquility, peace. Yeah. The second one is atma darshana. The second is atma darshana. So what is the atma darshana? Because darshana is more often than not defined as a vision. So a vision of the atma, but the atma is not an object of vision. What we mean by atma vision after darshana is a vision of the phenomenal world from the standpoint of aham atmasmi. So you see this phenomenal universe from the standpoint of your true identity as the limitless Atma. So once you establish your mind from that vision, aham brahmasmi, and then I'm claiming, owning my nature as Brahman, and I start living this apparent order of reality, using the instrument called body-mind-sense complex by holding the vision that I am Satya, the world is Mithya. I am Satya, world is Mithya. This is the vision, the Atma vision, is to hold that picture, to hold that Upanishad vision and declarations of identity as a fact. So I am the self, I am Atma, I am the only reality, and this world is just a projection, apparent projection occurring within myself. Because of this Atma Darshana, what is the benefit I will enjoy? Tusyati. One feels the joy of Purnatvan. One feels that one owns up the joy of Purnatvan. Because the vision offered by Vedanta is not the triangular vision presented by, it's all Vedanta, but triangular vision offered by Kama Yoga is different from the binary vision offered by the Upanishad teachings, or Jnana Yoga, okay? Kama Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So even as Vedantic Kama Yogi, my vision is I, Jivatma, Ishwara, and Jagata, and I need to count on Ishwara to deal with this world so that I can grow, purify, refine, and get self-knowledge. But before I get self-knowledge, I need to move to this final nididhyasana, which is the binary, I am consciousness, Purnatvan, the only reality, and the world is just something that appears within the scope of my nature as Purna. So you're going to own that by establishing that Viveka, I am Satya, all of this is Mithya. This is the darshana. Atma darshana is not like, oh, I'm seeing the ashama, now I have the video. No, it's seeing everything from the standpoint of Aham Brahmasmi. When I'm invoking my word personality, I'm always Apurna as a father, I will not have Nimati. But with the nididhyasana, I'm invoking my Purnatva nature by establishing that vision. I am Satya, the world is Mithya. And when I invoke this nature, my true nature is Purna. Purna means to say, I am that which is non-dual. I am that which is the only reality. I am limitless conscious existence. This is my nature as Purna. When I invoke my nature after I have done much nididhyasana, much study of the Upanishads, And then I developed this four vision, this four darshan. Atma darshana is the second definition of Samadhi, and Atma darshana yanya tusti also can be taken, another expression of a vision. So the first one is you gain, it's defined as a very pacified and tranquil mind. And now it's bringing a definition that it's Samadhi is to have a vision. I am limitless consciousness. I am Satya, the only reality, and the Mithya is just something projected upon myself, which is not real. Okay? So verse 21st. One should know that to be Samadhi. So he's talking about his vision, wherein one appreciates the limitless ananda inherent to that vision. I am Satya, the world is Mithya. Sukham, great pleasure, great ananda, because I have understood and I have got into the binary mode which established my nature as Satya, the only reality, and the world as Mithya. This sukham, this pleasure, this ananda is beyond sense organs, beyond sense organs. It's not gained by sense perception or inference. For people who believe that Vedanta self-knowledge is inferential knowledge. No, it does not come through perception and inference. This sukham is something which is our intrinsic true nature. And it's there, we can tap into it, but we need to develop certain qualifications. It's beyond the sense organs, and which is grasped by the intellect. Our purnativa nature is going to be understood by the intellect, provided the intellect is purified, in which is grasped by the intellect and remaining in which, dwelling on each, one does not slip from one's true nature. So this can be interpreted on the experiential nature, experiential level, that I go into my nididhyasana and then I enjoy this conviction of self-knowledge. I'm not talking about experiential samadhi. I enjoy this conviction of self-knowledge. And then I sense my nature as purna, the only reality, consciousness. I'm not the body mind, I'm consciousness. And then samadhi is when you no longer have to make an effort to stay within that vision. That vision produces the greatest sukham, the greatest pleasure. At the beginning, it may take effort because it's more like savikalpa samadhi. And then later on in this definition, nirvikalpa samadhi is a effortless state of samadhi. That is only possible when the intellect dwells on this until it starts drinking the nectar of its limitless ananda nature. And this is not gained by the mind or sense organs, but it's gained in the intellect once the intellect understands its true fundamental intrinsic nature. The intellect must grasp it, where in the intellect itself. And then once we grasp it, we need to stay with it. How are we going to stay with it? Then I'm going to quit my job, quit the Jesus. No, let it be there in the background during your day-to-day transactions. And any free time, go back to your nididhyasana, go back to the scriptures. Remaining with it, in which one does not slip from one's true nature. Knowledge is something so amazing. Because once it is properly assimilated, it is not subject to sleep. Sleep, forgetfulness. You understand? Because it is something which it's a knowledge in respect to that which is your nature, which is always present. And once it's seen, this darshan is really accomplished. I am consciousness, I'm not the body mind. No, one cannot undo that knowledge. It cannot be undone. You know, it's very interesting. In the beginning, we may feel afraid, such as I was afraid when I was running my restaurant, afraid of working the weekends and forgetting my true nature. No, somehow it's something that's not subject to forgetfulness. Remaining into which until it becomes natural and unforgettable, something like that. Therefore, again, one should know that to be samadhi, wherein one appreciates one's true limitless ananda nature, which is beyond sense organs and which is grasped by the intellect, and one remains with it, and then one does not forget it, and then one is good to go, because this knowledge is something regards to my intrinsic nature. I mean, I cannot push away my intrinsic nature. Once I understood this is my nature, I cannot reject it anymore. Very, very nice, beautiful, potent verse. In this verse, 2 more definitions, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna go back to, to the Gita next Friday, beginning from here again. Anything else?
It's lovely because I have a friend visiting now who has just this question about the difference between yoga meditation and Vedantic meditation. He was a TM teacher with me years ago, and it's lovely that this came up right now because it's so clear.
Very good. Okay, we meet again coming Monday. We go back to our beautiful Mandukya. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste.
Thank you, Arlindo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Orlando.
Meet again soon. Bye-bye.